Welcome to the Demountable Concepts online webinar about building supply swap body delivery. If you're listening to this, you may be facing some of the similar challenges our current customers face. You might see opportunity to increase the quality and number of deliveries, or may have other creative ways to leverage this system. Either way, we're going to cover a lot of valuable information as to how this is used in your industry so that you can really hone in on how your company can benefit. So thank you for the time and interest in Demountable, and I'm excited to be able to spend this time with everyone on here to provide the valuable information for future fleet and operations decisions at your company. So to give you an overview of what we'll be discussing, first I want to talk about the company Demountable Concepts, then we'll discuss the swap body system as well as some of the benefits that come along with it. We'll talk about the components and equipment options that are involved, some additional support items, and then we'll wrap up with sharing some contact information so that you can reach out directly. This webinar will last about 30 minutes, give or take a few minutes. So let's start with Demountable Concepts. DCI is a US-based company located in New Jersey, and we've been in business for over 30 years. Over the 30 years, we've worked with hundreds of building supply companies across North America, including many of the top 100. And what we do is we manufacture the demountable equipment at our facility, and we'll work with your truck dealer and bodybuilder to deliver the best-in-class product of swap body. But as a matter of who we are, this is what our company looks like as a whole. And this is our 6 core values. And it's how we work so well together internally. So sales, operations, engineering, fabrication, we all work cohesively as a team because we operate on these 6 core values. But not only do we do this internally, we exert it outward to our customers. And we like to say that we align ourselves with our customers' core values as well. Ultimately, we always have the customer's best interest in mind so that we can provide that great product, be a part of a team, and grow together along with you. Now, to help do that, we have a process in place, and this process has grown and evolved over the 30 years that we've been in business, and it's provided support to our customers throughout the entire project and interaction. And what this really shows is that Demountable is going to be there with you to help you from the beginning when we're having that meeting and discussing your operation, asking questions so that we can learn more about your business. And that way we can go back, engineer the best solution, build it for you, deliver it to you, and train your team on it. And then after you're running it and seeing the benefits, we're still going to be there to support you and your team through any questions or concerns that arise throughout the life of that demountable equipment. So you should feel confident that you're not just buying a piece of equipment, but you're getting a partner that's going to invest in the furthering success of your operation. Now that you know who we are, let's talk about why so many building supply companies use swap body. And before we talk about how it's used, I want you to give you an overview of what it is. So swap body is a lean, efficient delivery operation meant to reduce loading expense while driving more quality deliveries to your customer base. The swap body delivery strategy is really meant for deliveries within 100 miles from the distribution center, and it's best described as a tractor trailer drop and hook operation, but for straight trucks, as you can see in the displayed picture. But now on to how it's used. And since we're talking about building supply specifically, we're going to go along with that scenario in this process. So I'm going to show you a series of graphics, and these graphics have different sections that will light up green as we move along the process, and I'll bring you through each step in detail. Now, traditionally, with a traditional fixed body straight truck and traditional distribution method, trucks are getting loaded in the morning before drivers leave, resulting in drivers sitting idle or even loading their own trucks, and this is preventing them from making those revenue-generating deliveries. The other option is to stage product at the bay doors and load the trucks at night when they return from the day's deliveries. This results in a second shift in the warehouse or scheduled overtime loading, a lot less warehouse space because you're staging product at the bay door, and multiple product touches, so you're risking product damage. Now, what you see in step 1 will address all of these challenges head on. So let's talk about the swap body process here. Let's start off. So driver comes in to start their shift to a preloaded truck and immediately starts making deliveries. Now, while they're making those deliveries, a spare body or two are back at the warehouse on legs being loaded as the product comes off the line. And when it comes off the line, it goes right into the body. So now you're loading and delivering at the same time on the same truck. And this eliminates product staging and the multiple product touches that we talked about, while also eliminating any driver downtime in the morning and any after hours loading expenses that you would normally incur. The other benefits that you'll notice here, though, is the speed. When a driver returns empty, they swap into a full body all within 10 minutes. And what this does is it allows companies to have trucks come and go from job sites all day long. And this is where the increase in customer service and a better delivery offering to your customers comes in. See, this quick swap time results in more deliveries per day, or even the ability to now offer same-day deliveries in some markets. This could provide a huge competitive advantage in your market against some of your rival companies. So overall, what this means is that you're going to deliver more per day at a lower cost. And actually, one other strategy that companies use are job site drops. So where you would normally have to load up an entire truck and leave it at a job site for a couple of hours while it gets offloaded, with demountable, you can have one truck chassis drop off multiple demountable bodies at multiple job sites in the same day and keep that chassis turning, rather than tying it up while it's being offloaded at a job site. So when you compare this method to a normal fixed truck body method, overall, you're going to see anything from an instant return at the time of your fleet purchase all the way to incremental savings over the life of the demountable equipment. Now, as you can see, and as we talked about, there's many benefits to making this change, but I want to highlight two of the most popular reasons that building supply companies invest in this. Now, the first and most popular one is the loading expense that we talked about. And let's talk about overtime. On average, it takes 2 hours to hand load a 26-foot box truck full of windows and doors. So imagine having to schedule 2 hours per day, every day of the year, because you have to wait for your truck to return to start loading it. It adds up, and over 6 years, you see just under $110,000. So when you switch to demountable and you start loading during normal business hours, that $110,000 becomes an incremental savings over those 6 years. The other return that we see is an immediate return, and it has to do with the optimization of your fleet count. So some companies will have 2 power units per driver, and this allows you to achieve that swap and go operation. So you have one truck that leaves immediately in the morning with the driver making deliveries. The second truck stays back at the warehouse getting loaded as product comes off the line. Sounds a lot like the swap body operation, right? The difference is, though, is that you're paying for a second power unit to sit 50% of the time. So take that second power unit, replace it with a demountable body, and when you compare the two methods, you're going to save just under $50,000 right up front when you do your fleet purchase. And this doesn't take into account the intangibles. And what I mean by that is the insurance, the registration, the maintenance, etc., that you would normally have to pay on that spare power unit. But now that you made it a body, you no longer have to worry about that. So those are the incremental savings in addition to that $50,000 immediate ROI that you see when switching to demountable. But you don't have to just take it from me. I'm going to show you some of what our customers have said over time of use of the system. So the first example I'll show you is Pella Windows and Doors. So Pella has been a customer of ours for over 20 years, and they've grown to over 20 locations and roughly about 150 plus bodies, 75 plus power units that are demountable. And, when you see growth like that, you have to go to your customer and ask, hey, what kind of ROI are you seeing here? And they were able to report back to us a 25% reduction in those loading expenses that we talked about. But not only that, they've seen a 40% increase in business by adding multiple runs in the same day. So we're talking about driving top line revenue and reducing below the line expense. This is actually happening in the field. And another great example is Ashby Lumber. They're a California-based top 100 company that always struggled with getting drivers out on time. And the reason is, and you can't tell in this picture, but those are 20-foot truck bodies there. So you would think it wouldn't take too long, but they have to load from the ground via a forklift or a liftgate because they don't have any loading bays. So you can see how that would take a long time to load a 20-foot truck body. But by having swap body, not only did they eliminate that downtime due to loading, but they're also able to turn a second 20-foot body of deliveries in a single day. So they've essentially doubled the amount of deliveries that they do in a single day. And the last example I'll show you is Riverhead Building Supply, who is also another top 100 company that was scrambling to get trucks loaded in the morning and at night on overtime. Now, since they've adopted demountable, they started to scale back those needs by having the ability to preload during normal business hours while still making their deliveries at the same time. Now, these are just a few examples of the hundreds of companies in your industry seeing the benefits of swap body. So now that we understand what it is and how it's used, I'd like to show you, what this equipment consists of. So I'm going to briefly touch on the components and the options available within the swap body system. First, I want to cover everything related to the truck chassis. This is called our chassis lifter. And the chassis lifter is the component that raises and lowers the body on and off the truck chassis. We have two systems available. First is the hydraulic, which is our legacy system and has been in use for the 30 plus years we've been in business. And the second is our airlift system. We're going to work with you and our engineers to find out the best solution for your operation, as there are clear benefits that both can offer. Now, these systems can be installed at our facility here in New Jersey, or we can ship a kit to one of our remote installers throughout the country, depending on the scope of the project that we're working on. Now, continuing with the chassis, there are options available, such as a liftgate. If you use a liftgate, it's still an option if you go demountable, and we'll make a best recommendation based off of prior jobs that we've done. However, if you're set on a specific liftgate, it's important to note that we work with all major liftgate manufacturers, so it's not a problem to whatever your needs are. In a similar fashion, we can offer a walk ramp. Just like the liftgate, the walk ramp is going to stay with the truck chassis, and it operates just like a normal walk ramp would when the body is mounted on the truck chassis. Now, I'd mentioned before that companies like to do job site drops, right? Drop a demountable body at a job site. So we have a portable ramp option for just that. When you drop a job site and the truck leaves, you can leave a portable ramp behind so that you can easily get in and out of the back of the body. The last option I will show you related to the truck chassis is a Moffet. You can, in fact, have a forklift mounted on a demountable truck. We're going to work with you on getting the pertinent information for your forklifts, as well as doing a truck weight analysis so that we can go and engineer the best setup for a forklift mounting kit. Now that wraps up the chassis, so I'd like to move on to the body portion here. And what you see on your screen is our part of the demountable body. This is called a demountable body base frame. We build this at our facility, send it to your bodybuilder, and they lay the floor down, build the walls up, and it's made exactly to your spec. Now, I want to note here that everything in your current body setup from a spec standpoint can stay the same. So the same cargo securement, the same floor, the same walls, roof, etc. can stay the same. The only difference here is that it's now a demountable body that can stand on 4 legs. And these bodies can be built anywhere from 12 feet to 26 feet in length, 96 or 102 inches wide. Now, as far as options for our base frame goes, we have different legs available now. So on the left is our legacy pull-out leg, and these legs have been in use for over 30 years and can withstand 24,000 pounds when the body is standing independent of the chassis. This leg works for most applications, but we understand that not every operation is the same. So we went and designed a new DIN standard leg that incorporates some technology from Europe, where swap body is a standard mode of transportation. Now this leg swings down rather than pulls out, creating less required space on either side of the body to deploy the legs. But additionally, these legs can withstand 40,000 pounds. And the best part is that it allows a demounted body standing at your warehouse to be loaded with a forklift right off your dock without a chassis underneath it. Our legacy leg never really allowed for this, but this is a great new option for some larger lumber companies that are loading bulk shipments, or companies that are loading their millwork via millwork carts or stacking carts. So to give you a really good idea of what these look like, since I can't bring you the equipment right now, I put together a slide with a couple of video clips that should depict exactly how these options work. So the first video I'll show you is our DIN standard leg. And what you'll see in this video, and you'll notice that the leg pulls out about a foot, and then it'll just simply swing down. And then a brace is raised and connected to the body, and the leg is then pushed in slightly to be locked in place. You just repeat that for the other 3 legs, and now the body's ready to be demounted. The next is our legacy pull-out leg, and like I'd mentioned, it pulls out from underneath the body. It does require about 3-4 feet on either side to deploy, but simply enough, again, you just deploy the leg, the brace gets locked in place via a pin, pushed in, and it's ready to go. The last clip is just a brief video of a truck pulling out from underneath the body, and then likewise pulling back underneath, just to show you how easy it is to mount and demount a truck body. So to wrap up the body portion here, the last item are the different body styles. You can have any body style be demountable, and the best part is they all interchange. So we talked a lot about optimizing your fleet count and eliminating unnecessary power units earlier. Now, lumber companies, some locations offer different products, right? So you need different truck styles and body styles to move these different products. So you might need a flatbed or a curtain side or a van body. And a lot of times the location will have a flatbed fleet, but they'll have a van body truck sit until they need it maybe 1 or 2 days of the week. So now you're paying for a truck that has a van body on it to sit 3 or 4 days out of the week, every week. But if you can take that and replace it with a demountable body, you can have one chassis be a flatbed today, be a van body tomorrow, and be a curtain sider the next day. So now you eliminate the need to have all these spare power units, and you're replacing them with just simply demountable truck bodies. So it's a very flexible option for lumber locations that are offering different product types out of one location. So now that we've covered the components, and before we wrap up, there's one more important support item that we offer, and that is driver training. Now, I wouldn't have dedicated an entire slide to this if it wasn't important. And we understand that this is new equipment and a new operation, so we want to ensure that our new customers and new users are comfortable with it. This is why we spend up to a whole day training drivers, supervisors, warehouse personnel, maintenance personnel, and anyone else that's going to touch this equipment. We want to make sure that everybody feels confident and comfortable in operating it. And additionally, we're going to provide maintenance manuals, operations manuals, all for future reference. Our website is a plethora of information for follow-up training and questions, videos, anything that can be accessed from a computer and a smartphone. Again, we want to make sure that you and your personnel and your drivers are comfortable and able to operate this and do it safely. Now, lastly, if you want to set your team up for recurring recertification training, we can also do that as well on a certain interval that you set. So wrapping up with some next steps, we should connect on setting up a quick call to go over your operations and see how this would be a great fit. Then we can see about arranging a demo, whether it be a live one with our demo truck on site at your facility, you stopping by a current customer's yard to see their equipment in action, or even have a virtual demo where we can show you via FaceTime, and that way you can get a really great idea of how it operates and ask questions live as the equipment is being used. And then once we know exactly what the best solution is, we can get you some pricing, for budgeting purposes and nail down the specs so that you know exactly what you're going to get. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. My information is on the left. My colleague Derek is on the right there. We have a lot of experience in working with building supply companies as far as swap body goes. And we would really like to work with you and understand your operation better. And like I said, work through that entire process so that we can get you the right equipment. So don't hesitate to reach out to us, ask any questions, ask for more information. We're here to help and support you along the entire way. So I want to thank everybody again for joining me and setting aside time to learn more about Swap Body. By now, you've most likely come up with additional ways to leverage this system to benefit your operation in the future, and we look forward to speaking with you more about that. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and we'll be talking to you soon.